Good evening and welcome to The Big Fight, a show that is young at 22. I'm Sanket Upadhyay. This is the oldest running debate show on Indian news television. Now, over the last few weeks, we've seen the conversations around religion have led to murders. It is a sad moment indeed where people are taking law in their own hands, killing people. Now, there are terror angles being investigated. There are WhatsApp posts under investigation. But in a different yet related case, a filmmaker is also facing FIRs for allegedly insulting goddess Kali, showing her smoking. Then Trinamool Congress MP too made a comment that drew criticism from her opponents and her own party, where she said that her Kali is a meat-accepting goddess. She stands by her comment, but party has distanced itself. Dr. Shashi Tharoor of the Congress party came out in her defense, and his party too has distanced itself from it. So the big fight today is on a larger issue now. None of us actually have a right to insult anyone else's religion. That is the basics, right? But are we getting hypersensitive about conversations around religion? Is discussing any aspect of religion itself turning out to be a criminal act? That a discussion around it may either get you killed or someone will take objection, invariably. What does the law say here? So on the big fight tonight, Nupur, killings, Kali, Mahua. Religion, has it become an extremely touchy issue in this country? Alright, let's begin our discussion. I have with me Mr. Ratan Sharda. He's an author of RSS from an organization to a movement. Lalita Kumaramangalam is a member of the BJP. Zafar Sareshwala, former Chancellor of the Maulana Azad National Urdu University. And Smita Prakash, editor of the ANI. Let me begin by asking you, Mr. Ratan Sharda, do you feel that, yes, it is a given that we cannot and we should not insult anyone's faith or religion, but at the same time, do you feel we are getting into a territory where any conversation around religion which digresses from a monolithic understanding of that religion is going to be, there will be action? And thus we are creating a situation where talking about religion itself will become a problem, that someone or the other will take offense.
Sanket, thanks for this particular debate. I hope it remains serious the way it should be.
Correct.
Now, when you say that now you cannot speak about religion, you will remember that years back, Dr. Ambedkar wrote a book on riddles of Hinduism. Nobody banned it, nobody raised a question, everybody respectfully listened to him. And he wrote many other books which are offensive to one or the other religion, if you look at today's scenario. Fortunately for us, we had a typical Hindu ethos at that time where conversations, where discussions were open. Even if you're hurt, you would argue with the person, not try to kill the person. We had films continuously from independence onwards. When the Pandit was a rapist, raping women in the temple, we had Maulvis and Padris behaving very well, nice human beings. It went on. Villains used to have tilak. Nearly every villain used to have tilak and not anything else. We still said, okay, fine, it's going on. What has happened is now there is no more conversation. It's a one-way dialogue where you can only speak good about other religions, but you cannot speak even from the scriptures. While Hindus have been open about it, slowly they realize that this freedom of expression is only one way, where you can be insulted in the name of tolerance, in the name of patience, while other people of other faith would not like anybody to comment upon them, nor even talk about that. Hurtful, see, insult definitely not, never. We should never insult any religion. But can we at least talk about scriptures? When non-Hindus can pick up Hindu scriptures and try to teach what is Hinduism, why others cannot? So this one way, the thing that has happened for so long, suddenly Hindus have realized it and they are talking back. They are not violent, they are talking back. Now this talking back has created huge problem. For example, you look at Gyanvapi, when this entire joke industry was very full of jokes, jokes on Ram, jokes on Shiva, even in films, even in stand-up comedy, etc. At that time, no police, no political party spoke. The day there was some hot words on the TV channel debates, suddenly whole hell broke loose. So this kind of one-way street of conversation...
No, Mr. Sharda, my question is, Lalita Kumaramangalam, my question is very specific. You see, there is a difference between someone talking about religion and between insulting a religion, a different religion. So if you talk about various, Ms. Lalita Kumaramangalam on the screen, please. So if we are talking about a particular aspect of a particular religion, will that also be a criminal act now under this new paradigm, as Mr. Ratan Sharda is describing, that Hindus have now started talking back and that is creating a problem? Because clearly one was a case of Nupur Sharma insulting another religion, which by the way your own party did not agree with. You had to remove her.
Okay, Sanket, first of all, let me start by saying that both religion and being insulted is a very personal thing. I may be willing to accept somebody laughingly or perhaps even not so laughingly, and I say this only as an example, saying something about one of the gods I pray to, but somebody else may not be willing to accept it. Neither of us may be wrong if you look at it from a personal point of view, but religion is personal. Unfortunately, both politics and publicity seem to have taken over the discussions that we have about religion nowadays. And yes, Hindus have found a voice, Hindus have unified, all of this seems to get the goat of many other people. But the point that I'd like to make here is, and I've been saying this for eons, that when you are a person of, in a public face of a party, or an organization, or an MP, or a minister, or something like that, or a big journalist, or artist, etc., you must learn to hold both your tongue and your temper. You can't afford to make loose remarks, like what I think Justice Pardiwala and Co said, a loose tongue. You just can't afford it. Whether this is right or wrong, it's left for others to judge. I don't think I want to judge this, but I must be aware of what the reality is, what is happening today, and learn not to be incautious. If you ask me, what Nupur said was not factually wrong, because the hadith does say what she said. Perhaps the way she said it, she got irritated, angry, because of the way she was also being unnecessarily almost heckled on TV. But that's a very common thing that all of us, when I was a spokesperson, it happened to me. But when I was a spokesperson, we were in opposition. So when you're in opposition, you get away by saying a lot of things. When you're in the ruling party, you need to be more cautious about the way in which you present yourself or your words. This, I feel very strongly, should be there across the board. The same can be said about Mahua Maitra and the two Supreme Court judges who made off-the-cuff remarks.
No, Ms. Kumaramangalam, I'm not going to sit in judgment on what...
We must learn to be...
I'm not going to sit in judgment of what the judges have said.
We are in a very incendiary atmosphere now, Sanket.
Which is exactly why I asked this question.
Everybody needs to be careful about how they put across their point of view.
Yeah, that's but then one is to be careful. The other is to instill a sense of fear. And when I am having this discussion, this is not only for Hinduism or only for Islam, but a general sense on the ground that basically many people I know, Smita Prakash, who would much rather not talk about religion or any aspect of it for the fear of either being hacked to death or for the fear of some FIR somewhere or the other. Now that's not an ideal situation in a democracy where you build fear around religion.
Sir, I completely agree with you because, I am all for free speech, even if it offends. Because offense meters can vary. You can get offended about something. I need not necessarily get offended by it. But that's me as an individual. And I live in a society, so I can't do that. I mean, all of us have told our parents, have told our children or whatever, or our siblings that be careful what you tweet, what you put on WhatsApp. And if I'm in that group, I can get into trouble, so don't do it. So all of us are super careful and walking on eggshells. As Lalita ji said, that if we are in a position of some kind of influencing, with whether as a journalist or politician or whatever, you have to be a little more responsible. Now, religious practices in an ideal world, as Ratanji said, it should be a private matter, individual matter, but a subject matter for some kind of theological discussion, whether in a debate or whether in a college, in a classroom, in a TV debate. But then TV debates by nature have turned volatile. Now that's where the problem occurs. This whole comment about, somebody being crass or loose-tongued or whatever it is, it's all emerged from where? Not from articles in a newspaper, it's come from TV debates. Now the entire matrix of a TV debate is to encourage a clash of wildly different points of view. And when that happens, it makes good TV. What is good TV? More viewers, more hits. So it's not just journalists who are to blame or spokespersons who are to blame, it's also viewers. Because if you try to bring about a point of view which is soberly put across, nobody, your guest relations or your producers not going to invite me next time.
Here is the point. No, here is the point. How to debate and what to debate is actually a function of journalistic freedom, right? You know this more than me. You've been a journalist for a longer time. Debates are meant to provoke, to get different ideas. But at what time, at what point do you provoke so much that you start insulting? See, there is a difference between provocation and insult. I feel any provocation that borders on insult is a bad TV debate. This is debating 101 as far as we here at NDTV are concerned. My idea is not to insult you personally, but to provoke you to perhaps get a debating point. Otherwise, this will be a TED talk, not a debate.
But Sanket, that varies. The gauge varies from TV debate to TV debate, spokesperson to spokesperson,
Correct.
Party to party, filmmaker to filmmaker. That whether I'm provoking you, I'm insulting you, I am crass, crude. I could use sophisticated language as well and insult a religion, isn't it? I could use it, I could be crass and insult it, but the point is I'm insulting it. So it depends on the other person whether they see it as an insult or not.
Sure.
It depends on how the delivery style is,
But
as per
you
many
do-
people who say that it is crassly delivered.
So you are saying that TV debates are to blame. I would say that there are many things to blame over here.
No.
I would call them, I would call a very strong network of WhatsApp forwards also to blame for what is happening, because they are way more powerful than any TV debate, all the material that goes around. But Zafar Sareshwala, I take it, Smita Prakash, that you agree with the assessment that we have become extremely touchy now as far as any discussion around religion is concerned. Yogen Yadav is also with us. Zafar Sareshwala, what's your opinion? Do you feel as a nation we are getting extremely hypersensitive, hyper-emotional, hyper-aggressive and very, very touchy about every aspect of religion? Everything offends us.
Saket, I have a very different take, and I'll speak on what's happening within the Muslim community, particularly with regards to blasphemy, with regards to Tawheen Risalat, means abuse of prophethood. Tawheen Ahle Bayt means abuse of the children of the prophet. Now, unfortunately, this whole blasphemy business has it has become a business, and it started in Pakistan almost 20-25 years back. And why, and it has spilled over now here. I mean, the kind of things which have happened post Nupur, Udaipur, Amravati, people coming out.
Are you saying that this is some sort of a Pakistanization of discourse?
Let me complete.
Yeah.
See, I am not an Islamic scholar, but I have been studying this almost 25 years since this started in Pakistan about blasphemy. A couple of Christian ladies were put inside the jail and recently a very renowned Pakistani scholar was speaking just a few days back in his Friday sermon. He said this, कि ये अब धंधा बन गया है, यानी it has become a business. अगर किसी को फिट करना हो तो उस पे तौहीन रिसालत का डाल दो. अब वो जज भी कुछ नहीं बोल सकता. इतनी सेंसिटिव चीज है ये कि न जज कुछ बोल सकता है, न वकील बोल सकता है, लोग अंदर पड़े हुए हैं. And he said this लास्ट में कि पाकिस्तान को और इस्लाम को अगर किसी से नुकसान हो सकता है तो वो पाकिस्तान से हो सकता है या मुसलमान से हो सकता है. मैं ये बात यहां दोहराना चाहता हूं कि मुसलमान, इस्लाम को अगर कोई नुकसान होगा हिंदुस्तान में तो वो मुसलमानों से पहुंचेगा, किसी और से नहीं. सी आई एम नॉट बॉदर्ड कि हरिद्वार में क्या हुआ या फला स्वामी ने क्या कहा और नित्यानंद ने क्या किया, वो नुकसान उनका होगा. लेकिन जो आज यहां हो रहा है यानी जो उदयपुर में हुआ, जो नारे, ये जो खास तौर से ये जो जुलूस निकले कि तन से जुदा, यानी प्रॉफिट की बेहुरमती, उसकी एक ही सजा, तन से जुदा, सर तन से जुदा, यानी जो गलत चीज जिसका इस्लाम से कोई ताल्लुक नहीं है, इस्लाम में ब्लास्फेमी की कोई जगह नहीं है, वो चीजें जो इस्लाम की थी नहीं, वो आज यहां पर जो आ गई हैं, तो मैं समझता हूं कि अब मुसलमानों को बहुत संजीदगी से, और खास तौर से जो इस्लामिक स्कॉलर हैं इस मुल्क के, ये कंडेमनेशन से अब नहीं चलेगा, अब उनको बाहर आना पड़ेगा, और जो गलत चीजें, और मैं बिल्कुल मानने के लिए
I'll tell you, Zafar Sareshwala, what is happening. In fact, quite the opposite is happening, where a lot of people, the sane, the educated, they are refraining from conversation, Mr. Yogendra Yadav. I'm sure you must have also met many of your friends, colleagues, who say it's better to keep quiet. It's much better to stay quiet about these things. You never know what will happen. Perhaps there's an FIR under section 295A on its way.
Yes, it's happening, and of course it's very unfortunate. But let me get the basics right. I'm sorry there was an audio, so I may have missed some conversation here. Look, we are a country where an overwhelming majority of people are religious in opinion. Therefore, a certain respect for religious people is called for. Not just for respect for other religions, but also for those who are unbelievers. Everyone needs to be respected in this country. We have had decent laws. 295 is decent enough a law. We do not have a law of blasphemy, and we don't need one. We are not an Islamic country. We are not a Hindu country. We don't need law for blasphemy. And earlier, all this used to be fine. I have grown up in a locality among Sikhs. There weren't many Muslims there, but there were lots of Sikhs. And I know when I was growing up, joking about others' religion used to be a very light, normal thing that could happen. What happened recently in the last few years is therefore a normal or natural thing that has happened. Some other person mentioned, Dr. Ambedkar wrote very frankly about Hinduism. Think that today you will not be able to speak. Not just that, in literature, if you read a character called Kaka, written by Hari Mohan, I mean, those kinds of things you start saying today, I'm sure you would find yourself in jail. So, from a very healthy, normal, liberal culture, we are going towards a very intolerant culture, and that is not happening spontaneously. That's my only point with what you say, sir. You are saying, no, this is not happening. This is being made to. There is a design behind it. And
Yogendra Yadav, how will you respond to Mr. Ratan Sharda, who says that now the Hindu has found his voice? So far he or she was told to keep quiet about these things. Now they are speaking up, and that is what has caused the problem. It's that speaking up which is the problem.
It is an astonishing statement. I'm sure he wants to score a point against the Congress party, which of course he should. But why is he scoring a point against Atal Bihari Vajpayee as well? So after 5 years of Bihari Vajpayee's prime ministership, Hindus did not find a voice. BJP has ruled in so many states for the last 25 years. Hindus did not find a voice. Only when Mr. Modi became prime minister, Hindus found a voice in this country. I mean, which country are you talking about? Anyway, I will not respond to these laughable things, but let's get serious. Look, the point is that we have the real issue here is not Hindus talking about Muslims or Muslims talking about Hindus. One of the most important things is Hindus talking about Hinduism. There has been a very, very long tradition in this country because Hinduism is not like Islam. It's a different kind of religion. And the beauty of this religion is that there are multiple traditions, there are multiple gods, there is no one God that everyone has to accept. There is no one text that everyone has to accept. That is what has generated a very healthy culture of debate, comments, critical comments within Hinduism. And unfortunately, that is what is also being sought to be closed. And
Okay,
that
this is
would
an
be a
important
tragedy
comment.
for Hinduism. It would be a tragedy for India.
But before
And
we
I would-
discuss Hinduism, Zafar Sareshwala had a very important point. Radicalized statements were being made. Sir Tan Se Juda is an extremely radicalized call to kill people. This was being made on the ground. You can't,
yes, so in
you
our
can't look
country,
away from this.
in our country, there is absolutely no space for anyone saying Sar Tan Se Juda. Similarly, no space for anyone using a Dharam Sansad to say 20 lakh Muslims should be killed and so on. Both these unconstitutional statements, and people who utter these things should find themselves in jail. This is not about religious tolerance. This is
about a matter of law. Straight
These are
away,
criminal.
this is a criminal act. Ratan Sharda, very quickly before I'll come to you, Smita Prakash. Just one moment, Ratan Sharda first. Mr. Sharda, you see, when we talk about Hindus finding their voice and speaking up for what they believe in, what do they believe in? Are we assuming that all Hindus believe in the exact same thing? Are we saying that Hinduism is some sort of a monolith? Because in the case of Mahua Moitra, that's exactly the point that she is making. That all those taking offense with what I have said are those who have a very Brahminical, North Indian, patriarchal understanding of Hinduism. Because in West Bengal and in the east of this country, non-vegetarian food is offered in front of the deity, Kali. And she just reiterated a fact. How would you respond to this? Whose Hinduism is more important to qualify as having been hurt?
First of all, let me just put one sentence about Modi ji and all that. See, Modi ji is not the cause of what Hindus saying now. Hindus feeling have been rising for years now, and 2014 only got a voice. It is not that it is not happening earlier on, because the ridicule of only Hindu religion in the name of one-sided debate, as I said in the beginning, that the debate would also be on the Hindu side. No other religion could be discussed. No other religion could be, countered. That is point one. I think someone made a very pertinent point about Ms. Kumar Malla, that religion is personal. Unfortunately or fortunately, the fact of life is that only Hindu religion is personal, but both Islam and Christianity are social religion, because they have got concept of mass salvation. I am not for or against. I am just clarifying one point. Secondly, we talked about the way we look at the secularism. In the name of secularism, we try to create a moral dharmic state, which India is not. Indians are deeply religious, whether they are Christian, whether they are Hindu or Muslim. But sweating away religion in the name of secularism, which the kind of Western concept that we didn't have, also created a problem, because we stopped dialogues. We simply sweated away any religious feeling, and we thought that's fine with the society, which was not. And you asked me about Mahua Moitra. It has been clarified in the religious debate. This is not a religious debate, so I cannot really clarify that non-veg or drinks, whether they offer to Bhoot Pishacha or to Devi. That is a religious debate that has been done yesterday. There were a lot of people who made this point. I don't know how to make that point. My point is Mahua Moitra made the statement in connection with the film poster that was released by another lady. So that is the context. Context is not about what the Kali Mata takes or does not take.
Since she's not here, Mr. Ratan Sharda, I'll just tell you the context because she gave an interview to NDTV, and in that interview she said that not one word has been mentioned about her accepting Kali Ma smoking. What she said that the goddess Kali that I know is a meat-eating goddess, and she said that I base this comment in fact.
Yeah,
By the way, her own party does not agree with this.
No, that is the hypocrisy. That party has a different stance for Nupur, different stance for Mahua Moitra. We are into the debate whether we should be discussing religion or not. We should be, but it is a timing. She puts her point of view when the poster comes out. When there is already society is in the boil, then he keeps on asserting the point. I don't think she has read scriptures. She understands what kind of food is offered to Devi or to any other deity.
Okay, Zafar Sareshwala, you see the point is, at what point do I take offense? First of all, how much religious tolerance should I have to absorb what is being said about my religion? When should I take offense? And when should I be so offended that I end up doing these absolutely ridiculous things that have happened? Like Sar Tan Se Juda. A preposterous statement to make, and I don't know why it is, why people accept it. Or are shy about talking about it.
Yeah. Sanket, I feel that now we should move towards solutions. I mean, this is happening far too long. We need to spread love. We need to remove hatred. And the most important part, see, everybody has right to follow his or her religion. Everybody. But I should feel that, my utterances don't harm somebody's belief. I mean, I have no right. I have to be very cautious, and particularly people who are in the public domain. I mean, they have to be very cautious because it is a sensitive issue. So I think, people, जिसको हम अपनी जुबान में कहते हैं कि, people's belief system, their sanctity, what they think, and what are those sensitivity issues, and which was very rightly pointed out by Jai Shankar, our foreign minister. In one of this conclave, an anchor asked him that how are we as a democracy of this large proportion taking lectures from countries which are theocratic, which are kingdoms, and why are we taking those lectures? He very categorically, he said that we don't consider these as lectures and lessons. It is about sensitivity. So I think I have to be very cautious about people's sensitivity, and particularly the religious beliefs. And most important, we need to come to an axiom which we used to have: I agree to disagree. But we should draw a line where that offense becomes disagreement or disagreement becomes offense.
Yeah. Now, but under no circumstances should there be a call to violence which should be justified, whether it is in a Dharm Sansad or whether it is Sar Tan Se Juda. None of this should be acceptable. Lalita ji, before I come to you, please do stay on. I also have with me Mr. Ramesh Biduri, Lok Sabha MP of the Bharatiya Janata Party. बिदुरी जी, मैं सबसे पहले आपसे ये पूछना चाहता हूं, अभी यहाँ पर चर्चा जो हो रही थी उसमें ये बात हो रही कि एक समन्वय बनाने की जरूरत है, धर्मों में आपस में एक संवाद बनाने की जरूरत है, क्योंकि अब हो ये गया है कि अब हम लोग इतने छुई मुई हो गए हैं धार्मिक मुद्दों पर कि बहुत जल्दी हम आहत हो जाते हैं.
संकेत जी, पहले तो मैं ये सोचने लगा कि शायद मुझे अपने आप को चैनल पे सेक्युलर शो करने के लिए बैठा दिया, मुहूर्त दिखाने के लिए कि सबके व्यू आप लेते जा रहे हैं 3-3 बार, पर मुझे शायद भूल गए, लेकिन धन्यवाद, आपको मेरी याद आई. लेकिन संकेत जी देखो, ये जो सर तन से जुदा, ये तो नुपुर एक बहाना है और निशाना कहीं और है. ये तो 2011 में, याद करो, थोड़ा पीछे जाइए, खादिम रिजवी पाकिस्तान के जो टीएलपी से बिलोंग करते थे, अब उसका साथ भी उसी भाषा को बोलते, उनकी तो डेथ हो गई 2020 में, खालिद जी की, उन्होंने नारा पाकिस्तान में चलाया था जी. सभी मुस्लिम स्कॉलर इस बात को दोहराए जा रहे हैं. और आपने भी एक बहुत अच्छी बात कही कि सभी लोग, पॉलिटिकल लोग भी अगर प्रोवोकिंग की भाषा में ना बोलकर इसको उसी भाषा में ले जो आप कह रहे हैं. तो केरल में मैं जाना चाहता हूं दिसंबर के अंदर. केरल के अंदर वसीम अल हकानी ने क्या कहा था, जैसिस क्रिस्ट के लिए जी, जैसिस क्रिस्ट के लिए जो बोला, जो शब्द बोला, मैं भाषा में बोलना नहीं चाहता. तो केरल में जो सरकार चल रही है, उस सरकार में बीजेपी के ही एक नेता हैं अनूप, उन्होंने कंप्लेंट की और अनूप एंटोनी की कंप्लेंट को पुलिस में डीजीपी तक से वो मिले, किसी ने नोट ही नहीं किया. अंतोषगत्वा उनको सीजीएम की कोर्ट में जाना पड़ा. सीजीएम ने 153 के अंदर, सिस के अंदर उसको कॉग्निजेंस लिया और एफआईआर लॉन्च करने के ऑर्डर दे दिए, लेकिन आज तक 8 महीने में कोई एक्शन नहीं हुआ. दूसरा मैं कहना चाहता हूं, नुपुर जी को जो कोर्ट कर करके और बहाना बना रहे लोग, जो उन्होंने बोला, वसीम जी ने, उन्होंने जो बोला दिसंबर में, या मैं जाना चाहता हूं सरवर चिश्ती के पास, जो कोटा में उन्होंने बोला नवंबर दिसंबर के अंदर. सरवर चिश्ती ने जिस भाषा को उपयोग किया, जो मोइत्रा ने, और अभी जिस भाषा का उपयोग किया, अभी जो काली की डायरेक्टर हैं लीना जी, वही नुपुर ने बोला था, किसी की भावनाएं आहत हुई, उन्होंने भी ये कहा कि हमारे देवी देवताओं का बैकग्राउंड ऐसा है। टीवी डिबेट पे बोलते हैं कि तुम प्राइवेट पार्ट की पूजा करते हो, ये एक्शन का रिएक्शन नहीं होगा। तो अगर नुपुर ने भी हकीकत के, मैं उसका समर्थन नहीं करना कि नुपुर को कीचड़ में पत्थर डालोगे तो कीचड़ अपने ऊपर आएगी। नुपुर जी से वो गलती हो गई, कीचड़ में पत्थर फेंक दिए उन्होंने, ये लोग कीचड़ फैला रहे थे, नुपुर जी ने भी पत्थर फेंक दिया, नहीं फैलाना चाहिए था जी। इस देश का सभी मुसलमान कट्टरपंथी नहीं है, ये प्रॉब्लम है मोदी जी से लोगों को, कुछ कट्टरपंथियों को जो पीएफआई के दलाल बनकर देश में बैठे हुए हैं।
लेकिन बिदुरी जी मेरा सवाल आपसे एक और है। बिदुरी जी मेरा सवाल आप सुन लीजिए। मेरा सवाल ये है कि इसको शांत करने की और एक ऐसा संवेदना भरा माहौल बनाने की, एन एनवायरमेंट ऑफ पीस एंड क्वाइट, इसकी जिम्मेदारी किसकी है? ठीक है, इस तरीके वी आर डीपली डिवाइडेड राइट नाउ, हु इज रिस्पांसिबल?
संजय जी 30 सेकंड में बात खत्म करूंगा। अच्छा होता दिसंबर की घटना पर सीताराम केसरी का कंडम आता, अच्छा होता कि कांग्रेस के नेता राहुल गांधी का कोटा के बयान पर कोई स्टेटमेंट आता, तो काहे को नुपुर को यह बात जवाब देना पड़ता? अगर इनके स्टेटमेंट आ जाते और अगर उस वसीम जो अल हकामी है उसके खिलाफ एफआईआर दर्ज होने के बाद उसकी गिरफ्तारी दिसंबर में हो गई होती, तो लोगों को लगता है कि कोई एक्शन तो होता ही नहीं, जब उसका कुछ नहीं, मेरा क्या होगा? तो शुरुआत किसने की? राहुल के भी बर्फ जम गई जबान के अंदर। अब मोइत्रा बोल रही हैं तो ममता ने पल्ला झाड़ लिया, ये उसका व्यक्तिगत बयान हो सकता है। अगर वो उसका व्यक्तिगत बयान है तो नुपुर का भी व्यक्तिगत बयान है, भाजपा ने भी उनको सस्पेंड कर दिया है। तो इसके
10 दिन बाद
सेक्युलर उनके मुंह में बर्फ जम गई है।
10 दिन बाद आपने सस्पेंड किया है, जब बहुत हल्ला हो गया तब, उससे पहले नहीं किया था।
अरे भाई, दिसंबर की घटना पर वसीम को तो आज तक कुछ नहीं किया, आज तक सर्वर को तो आज तक राजस्थान की पुलिस कह रही है, तुम कह दो कि वो खालिद के लिए कह रही है, तुम कह दो मैं नशे में था, मैं नशे में था, तब कह रहा है। ये नुपुर की घटना नहीं होती, अजमेर का जो वो बोल रहा था, चिश्ती का जो सेक्रेटरी बोल रहे हैं, राजस्थान की पुलिस जाती, कोटा में कैसे बयान दे दिया सर्वर ने इस बात का, जो सर्वर का बयान था। आई एम सॉरी संकेत जी, ये तो देखो जो आपने कहा ना, पॉलिटिकल आदमियों को सेंसिटिव के साथ में आगे बढ़ना चाहिए। बीजेपी ने 10 दिन बाद उसको सस्पेंड किया, आपने सस्पेंड कर तो दिया, लेकिन आज मोइत्रा को तो तुरंत कर देना चाहिए था ना, ममता बनर्जी को कंडम। क्यों बर्फ जम गई कांग्रेस के लोगों के, क्यों बर्फ जम गई तुम्हारे सोकॉल्ड सेक्युलर और कम्युनिस्ट लोगों के मुंह के अंदर? वो कहते हैं, जो हमारे दादा हैं सौगत राय जी, वो कहते हैं नुपुर के खिलाफ एक्शन नहीं हुआ तो इसके खिलाफ भी क्यों? अरे नुपुर को पार्टी से निकाल दिया, अपने इंडिपेंडेंट का डिसीजन हो सकता है, सी वेंट टू सुप्रीम कोर्ट। अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट जो डिसीजन देगा देगा, but she is not now, she is not belong to the BJP.
पर Mr. Biduri, my final question again.
Modi ji.
Okay. Mr. Biduri, my final question to you. Do you feel that we need to, number one, of course, we should discuss every aspect of religion. कहीं ऐसा ना, अब जैसे मैं आपको एक उदाहरण दे दूं, भाई रामायण के बहुत सारे वर्जन्स हैं इस देश में, बहुत सारे वर्जन है, अलग अलग रामायण है, उसकी कल्पना अलग अलग तरीके से की है।
तो नुपुर का वर्जन भी, आई एम सॉरी रामायण के आई एम सॉरी संकेत भाई, अगर रामायण के वर्जन है, काली के वर्जन है, तो क्या जो नुपुर ने बोला उसके वर्जन नहीं है? उसके वर्जन नहीं है? नहीं क्या वो,
अगर उन्होंने कुछ गलत नहीं किया तो फिर आप कार्रवाई क्यों कर ली आपने? Obviously what she said and the manner in which she said was wrong.
No? यहाँ अल्पसंख्यकों के साथ अन्याय हो रहा है, आपको जो सूट नहीं करेगा तो वर्जन का ढूंढते फिरेंगे हम लोग।
ये वर्जन की बात नहीं है बिदुरी जी, ऐसा है, ये एक्शन आप ही की सरकार ने लिया है, and that too when all Islamic nations were up in arms against you.
हमारी सरकार ने किसी भी नेशन, इस्लामिक नेशन के खिलाफ कोई ऐसा कभी भी कोई डिसीजन नहीं लिया जी। हमारी सरकार, देश के प्रधानमंत्री ने आज जो गरीबों की आवश्यकता की पूर्ति के जो सारे नियम बनाए गए वो सबके लिए, सबका साथ सबका विकास। क्या सिलेंडर ले रहे हैं तो अल्पसंख्यक लोग नहीं ले रहे हैं? क्या मकान ले रहे हैं तो अल्पसंख्यक लोग नहीं ले रहे हैं? हमारी सरकार, देश के प्रधानमंत्री 125 करोड़ लोगों को टारगेट बनाकर काम कर रहे हैं, लेकिन इन लोगों को दर्द है। सर्वर जैसे जो पीएफआई से फंडिंग करते हैं, वो जो लीना बैठी हुई है ना वहां पर कनाडा में, वो भी पीएफआई की फंडिंग मिलेगी, उसके पीछे भी आपको देख लेना आप। ये सब बिके हुए लोग हैं, ये भारत की अस्मिता को बेच रहे हैं अपने चंद सिक्कों के चक्कर में। इनका निशाना नुपुर नहीं है, निशाना कहीं और है, नुपुर तो बहाना है।
ओके, राइट। मिस्टर बिदुरी, थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर जॉइनिंग अस। थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर योर व्यूज। Ghanshyam Tiwari, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, has also now joined us. Ghanshyam Tiwari, what would you like to say? Basically what we are discussing is whether it is Nupur Sharma, the killings, Kali comment, Mahua Moitra, religion, do you feel, has now become an extremely touchy issue, an extremely emotional issue where people get hypersensitive and hyperactive, and we rush to apply Section 295A?
Good evening, Sanket, to you, the viewers, and my fellow co-panelists. I want to congratulate BJP for making toxic religious statements the national sport in India, and a large number of Godi media anchors as the new Babu Bajrangi of this BJP brigade. You have election in Uttar Pradesh that is, we see these kind of advertisements on taxpayers' money every day. Election in Uttar Pradesh is held on the foundation of 80-20 hate speech. Most Godi media celebrates it. Anchors go out and cut ribbons for BJP buses. This is a success of Bharatiya Janata Party, and I think Nupur and others are just outcomes of that success that BJP currently cannot face because of issues internationally, but are cheering within themselves. And the fact that we are sitting here at a time when rupee is sliding, economy is in doldrums, jobs are not getting created, constitution and federal structure is under everyday attack, and discussing these things that by itself cannot create jobs. This discussion will not lead to job creation in India, but it will lead to more leaders like Adityanath rising in BJP, whose core foundation has been built on violent form of political outbursts. And if there is one political party that has the largest number of cases against them before coming to power on promoting enmity among communities, that is Bharatiya Janata Party. So they have successfully taken that what was a criminal charge into a national sport where their leaders are excelling and turning in India into this place. Final point is, there used to be a time when people would come to India and discover the diversity, the secular country that we were, and the liberal as well as peaceful ways by which this country celebrates all religions, all festivals, all of its history and legacy. Today, people of India will slowly have to go outside to see what this kind of paradigm would mean. There will be times when this can only be read from the past, but you will not see this in day-to-day. If day-to-day
I'm going to have to give a right to reply to Mr. Ratan Sharda and then Lalita Kumara Mangalam on the points that have been made by Mr. Tiwari. Mr. Sharda, to you first.
Well, Mr. Tiwari has this standard script which he repeats in every debate. I would not want to get into that debate because that would actually disturb the discussion that you are having. Mm-hmm. We know who killed Ram Sevaks. We know who said that, Muslims have first right, etc. I will not get there. I will not even get into the issue that before 2014 there were no riots. Everything was hunky-dory, दूध और शहद की नदियां बह रही थी, सब खुश थे, गले मिलते थे ईद और रामलीला पे. I will not get into that. I am getting something more serious. Barkha Dutt wrote an article way back saying that have we become secular extremists? And she said maybe because we are turned secular extremists, we see all these issues cropping up. We see this hateful industry coming up. This was around 1990, I think, not now. So that particular observation is very important, that when we become secular, we try to be extremist, where we will take a swipe at one kind of religion but not anywhere else. Now coming to solution side, Mr. Zafar Sarashwala, I think, has made a very pertinent point that we should try to find solution. To my mind, solution is to get over secular extremism. We need to start religious teaching in the school of every religion. So let us know what other religion says. Unfortunately, today the Islamic schools have a Quran, the Christian schools have a Bible, and Hindu schools have nothing. Why not have teaching of every religion in every place so we understand each other's religion? That is very important. Thirdly, while doing the research on all these issues, why this kind of extremism is global, it is not Indian. Please remember, every country in the world is facing this kind of radical Islam, this kind of terror. So what is the reason? There is one organization called Nahdlatul Ulama, on which I have written an article also recently, will come up, which was started by Abdul Wahab Chasbullah in 1926 in Indonesia. What was it? It was regarding trying to stop conservatism, radicalization of Islamic society.
But I'll come to you.
And have a moderate Islam which will allow the people to be modern, civil, follow Panchashila of Indonesia. And they have succeeded to a great extent. They have got a membership of nearly 50 million to 90 million. And they have been called by Thailand to fight extremism. They have been invited to government even in Indonesia. This is the kind of firm approach by scholars like Mr. Zafar and others who need to take very boldly and not follow the Maulanas and Maulvis What has happened in India is that we have allowed the Muslim politics to be taken over by Maulanas and Maulvis, of whom Samajwadi Party is very happy and carries them in their own lab by allowing them to make.
But see, the reverse of it is also the BJP comes under sharp criticism of allowing the reverse of it also.
Well,
Can extremism be replaced by another form of extremist view?
No. Does BJP support Dharm Sansad? It has not. It has taken action. They have been jailed. Their case have been put up, and that is the point. And if BJP is done,
What case? You had Yati Narasimhanand who came out on bail. The bail condition said that you cannot deliver any speech, and here he was in Buradi, delivered another speech.
See, my point is, we cannot have goodwill mission sitting in 2,000 people talking nice about each other's religion. We have to understand. We have to sit together. As I said, we have to create organizations which will take care of extremism.
And then how do you respond to this view that the Prime Minister with his enormous pull can get this going? Smita Prakash, how would you respond to this? This has been said on a number of occasions that the Prime Minister must step in.
Sanket, the thing is, yeah, so I agree that at some point of time you will need somebody to take leadership of this new conversation that we have to have in this country. But just now Ratan Sharda talked about a term called secular extremism. It's a very strong term, but yes, there is a blowback, because I just want to be very short in this, because of the intellectualization of this loose talk, that is why it has happened. Because Sanket, look, people will giggle over Karwa Chauth, but they dare not laugh about fasting during Eid. People will laugh at naked sadhus at Kumbh Mela, but they dare not talk about Digambar Jains. You will laugh about, the Trishul, but you will not laugh about the Kirpan. Why is that? This intellectual duplicity that has happened, that is the reason why radicals or why the strong arm of the Hindu faith has reacted and said that if we are going to go down the sensitivity path, then it has to flow both ways or multiple ways if we are to bring back that golden era of secularism where everybody loved each other and everybody continued to be the way they were and had freedom to practice and profess their faith. Then be sensitive to all religions, not just one religion, because you fear retribution by saying something which is crass or loose.
Okay. Quick closing comments. Yogen Yadav, I want to come back to you. Do you feel that a set of belief that people should keep their religion to themselves is a better way to go about it, which I think is bound to fail in a country like India because we are deeply religious, or that everybody wears their religion on their sleeve and respects the other for doing the same?
Sanket, even before we had constitution in this country, there has been a long-standing tradition accepting it. You follow it, I follow, not in private homes. Most of the religions in this country are public religions, and people have developed norms about where to draw, how to accept. And within it, I would once again repeat, there has been very healthy tradition of contestations within Hinduism, what is today called Hinduism. That is what needs to be protected. I would again repeat, the problem is not with the people. The problem is with the leaders, that there is a industry which is being perpetuated from the top. That is what needs to be dismantled. That is what needs to be questioned. And the beginning must be made by the most popular leader of this country today, namely Narendra Modi. If the top leader keeps quiet about things of this kind happening in the country, then the signal is, all right, go ahead, don't worry, I'm okay. That is what needs to be challenged. And one more second, I was astonished to hear about Hindu schools, Muslim schools, Sikh schools. Sir, from what I know, schools run by Sikh community do teach Sikhism, run by Muslim communities do teach Muslim Islam, and schools run by Hindu community as community schools are teaching Hinduism. Unless you believe that the government schools are Hindu schools, which would be a very sorry thing to hear in an education.
Okay. I'm running out of time. Quick last comment to Mr. Tiwari.
My point is everybody should learn all
religions. I think...
Okay, Mr. Tiwari, very quickly, running out of time.
I think if you look at thousands of Kendriya Vidyalayas across the country that start with Astoma Sadgameya, this is a flawed version of of thinking that RSS is putting on country, that we are your religion, fight with other religions. They are turning the diversity and rich history of India and communities onto themselves for their political benefits, and they are succeeding. If they set out to send wolves across the country, and we are sitting out and debating why are those wolves not behaving like cows, they will not. It's a success of the Prime Minister that the nation is at this stage. It is the success of Bharatiya Janata Party and
completely
RSS
running out of
people
time.
are turning against each other in their religion.
Quick last comment, Miss Lalita Kumara Mangalam.
In this debate, what I have seen, the most unfortunate thing is the politicization of this debate. I have said this often enough. With all due respect to people from different parties across the board, I have been spokesperson of the BJP, and I know how much we have been attacked on many things. But to lay everything at the Prime Minister's door is both naive and, if you ask me, extremely short-sighted. Prime Ministers change. They come and go. We had Indira Gandhi, who was an extraordinarily powerful lady. What happened when she died? We had those those Sikh riots. The point is not that. The point is every one of us has to be committed to a change if we want to actually see the change happen. It's easy to find fault with others, but very difficult to look at
I think whatever we are saying, let this not be an intellectual conversation. The change has to be extremely exacting. Otherwise, we'll end up being a society which is extremely touchy about religion, and that is not good. We have to be open. Thank you very much for joining us on this discussion. We're stopping for a short break. An exclusive interview up next. All right, welcome back. Joining us right now is noted filmmaker, Mr. Ram Gopal Verma. Thank you very much, Mr. Verma. You are promoting your movie, so let's first talk about that. What is this film all about? Can you tell our viewers about it?
Yeah. See, Ladki is a martial arts film, which is a first of its kind I made, and as a genre which I never touched. And that whole thing comes from my obsession for Bruce Lee when I was in my college days. So I just wanted to catch his spirit and to make a film centered around a female martial artist. Yeah.
And was that the inspiration, Bruce Lee?
Yes.
But why do you wait all this while?
Bruce Lee being such a small man. Yeah, that's an interesting question because, you see, any film is an idea. Probably in the beginning it was not like I was in college days when I wasn't even a director, I was influenced and impacted by Bruce Lee. And much later when I became a director, I used to copy some of the way he used to design action scenes, though there were no martial arts. Then at a point of time when I started seeing the contemporary martial artists like Jet Li and Donnie Yen and Tony Jaa, I always thought there was something missing in the context of what Bruce Lee managed to catch. And maybe roughly 10 years back I had started developing this desire to actually make a martial arts film. And then I thought instead of having a man, because Bruce Lee, one thing was he's a very small man, he's just 5'7" in height. And he made it look as if he can beat up big people or 6'3" and things like that. And I thought, why not take a step more further and make it into a woman? And a woman can beat up men if she's a martial artist, I thought was an interesting premise for a film. And that's how the film happened.
Very, very interesting. You know, Mr. Verma, it's interesting that you talk about all of this because I'm sure you must have heard and seen the headlines of a huge debate about what is creative freedom and what is not, especially when you're talking about religion.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you this question because this is contemporary. There's a poster about Goddess Kali, a movie which has been in question. The filmmaker has also been questioned. She says that this is my creative freedom. On the other hand, people have taken objection. A member of parliament commented on it in a certain context and there is an FIR against her also. What is your understanding of how much creative freedom is good creative freedom and where is that no-go?
See, first of all, I'm not very sure I understand the good and bad and even the word creative. I think it eventually boils down to freedom of expressing an opinion. It is not in the context of a filmmaker or a writer or whatever. I just think we are living in times when there is so much of intolerance about everything, not only about this particular issue, what you're talking about. And I think the whole point of freedom is if only when what you say offends someone, that is when you need freedom. Otherwise, you don't need freedom to start with. I think then see the discipline of any society works on four things, which is legal and which is moral and which is social acceptance and which is probably ethics or whatever. But eventually, everything has to practically go by the law of the land. And I think if the the Constitution guarantees the freedom to someone to express their opinion, I think it only should go in the course of law, of whatever that is. Like, I don't remember who it was. I just saw someone who was talking about certain practices which happen towards gods and goddesses, which might not be absolutely unacceptable in some other parts of the same practice in the country, or it might not be in the knowledge of some other people. So I don't think it's about creative freedom. I feel the only way one can measure it is whether it stands up to the prevailing law and the prevailing provisions in the Constitution. Beyond that, I think any individual of any party or any community taking an objection and making a noise about it, I think it's fundamentally unhealthy to a country which is supposedly a democratic country.
Very interesting assessment, Mr. Verma. Do you feel then as a newsmaker, beg your pardon, since I'm in the news business, I look at everyone as the newsmaker. As a filmmaker, Mr. Verma, do you feel that your creative liberty to perhaps comment or make a film on religion has gone down, or do you feel it remains unaffected? Or a new set of rules must apply now to you.
I mean,
if you were to experiment.
But that's what I'm saying. There are three things. Yeah. See, there are three things here. One is a so-called popular opinion, which seems popular because it is amplified on the social media, and then it's a question of who's got the loudest voice and who speaks in the most virulent manner in terms of to make the point. I think anything which comes on emotionally aggressive statement which tends to make news and people tend to take it seriously. I mean, that is the whole point. I mean, the whole point of a social structure is to dumb down the emotions and bring rationality to it, and which is the reason I said it only can be measured against is it allowed under the law, and everything else I think is rhetoric to start with. Yes, people might take the recourse to law and file affairs and whatever, but does that really stand up at the end of the day, I think is a question. Meanwhile, it just becomes noise, which I don't know where it goes at the end of the day.
But my final question, do you feel religion is a
shouting?
Do you feel religion is a difficult subject to make films on? Especially now, with hypersensitivity.
I mean, but that is what I'm saying. See, it used to be done quite a lot before, even against religion, even against mythology. But I think in the days of the social media, the opposition to it seems like very, very amplified. But I don't know if that is true, or it seems like that is something which I'm not. Because like they say, if a lot of people in the social media could be in hundreds, but we are living in a country of 1.3 crores, 130 crores, sorry. And how many of them actually feel, you will never know, because whether this is the tip of the iceberg or this is only a tip and not the iceberg is something I don't think anyone can really put their finger on it.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Mr. Ram Gopal Verma, and all the best for your movie. We'll definitely watch it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.